Hey there, Julia here. Today we're just hanging out and I'm going to ramble about my journal and planner lineup for 2025 one more time as I start to solidify my 2026 lineup. I just want to voice some pain points that I have with the functionality of my journals and planners. So I'm going to start with my 5-year diary, and this is from Sterling Ink. I got this in 2024, so I am on year number 2 here. I actually don't have any issues with this diary. I did for a little bit have it in a leather cover, and I don't think that the cover was the right size for it, and then I noticed that the spine was just kind of like, you can see it a little bit kind of bending outwards, and so I didn't want that to happen. And this doesn't really leave the house, and so it's held up pretty well just bedside naked like this. I might get a clear cover for it. This is a B6 size, and then I added the tabs last year. I mean, maybe one of the pain points is if I want to read about how I was feeling about a specific thing and I don't remember which month it's in, maybe that is a pain point, but that's kind of on me. I can maybe start tabbing really important things, or maybe just things that I want to come back and reference. I'm not sure, but for the most part, this is doing pretty well, and I know that this will be in my 2026 lineup. Writing right before bed has become a habit, and it's something that I enjoy. Next up, I have 2 plotters in my system. One is for work meeting notes. Usually they're in here for like a week or 2, and then I transfer them over to Notion so that they're searchable and in little project folders. And so whenever I do that, I rip it out of here. So I do like that I can tell, like, oh, this needs to go into Notion. This needs to go into Notion if it's relevant to hold on to. And if I open it up and it's a blank page, then I know that I'm caught up. So I like this system. My only pain point with it is, well, 2, I guess. 1, this is a very expensive cover, so I feel like I should be doing more with it, but I really don't know what else to use it for right now. And so there's that. And number 2, sometimes I forget to bring this with me places. So I'll end up having to write notes in my main planner, and then the system is not 100% sound. I don't know, but for the most part, especially at home and having Zoom meetings and things, this is working pretty well. My other plotter is a reading journal. This is the Bible size. I need to get this up in the shop, I know, but these are spreads that I made. These are custom reading journal inserts, and I love how it looks flipping through all of the reviews, and I really like looking at that. That's really fun. However, does it need to be in a plotter? None of these pages are gonna move around. It just seems like a waste of a plotter. So I do want to keep some semblance, I think, of a reading journal, or at least just tracking it somewhere and having a space to write reviews, but I don't know if it needs to be its own thing, especially in a ringed system. It doesn't make sense for me in a ringed system. And do they have to all be back to back like this? That is the question, because I could just include this type of stuff in, I don't even have it in here, kind of like an insert like this. This is my New Mexico insert. So it's all like journaling and trips for usually for work, but through New Mexico. But I have a life journal like this as well, where I do spreads about albums that I like, or if someone had a birthday party, things like that. So could I maybe include reading in a life journal, or do I have an insert that's just for media? So like books and albums and podcasts and things that I want to track. That might be something. But I just don't think that the plotter is necessarily the right format for the reading journal. Next up, I have my pen and ink directory, which I recently split into 2 just because it was getting so full in this file of facts. And this is just the ink directory. It's pretty full in the file of facts by itself. And so in this green one here, I track my custom nib grinds. I have a nib wish list. I keep up with my interchangeable nibs. And then back here, this is where the problem lies. This is what's wrong with this. The idea was that every time I ink up a pen, I put it in here under its brand, and then I can see what I've inked this pen up with. I can write little notes about what worked, what didn't work, any like tidbits on, hey, this pen works well with dry inks or whatever. But several things, like there's not a lot of writing space on here, which could be fine because yay rings. I can put something else in here if need be, but I'm just not doing it. And I don't love how the tabs really look. So I just need to rethink maybe the layout of this, or maybe just I really want the information and I really want to see what I've previously inked up pens with in this type of format, but it's just not quite there yet. So I don't know if I just get rid of this for next year, or maybe during Void Week I can come up with something a little different. Someone recently expressed that they wanted something like a pen profile, a more in-depth one anyways, so that I don't know, but that is what's wrong with the pen directory. It's just not quite working. It's not finding its way into my habits. And then the ink directory, I love it. I love it so much. I reference it a lot anytime I go and ink pens or see if I have an ink, etc. Like I reference this. So it is pretty much up to date. Where we get wonky is I'm not going to be able to find any pages that are super wonky, huh? Yeah, so if I gift an ink or I run out of it, sometimes if it's on the bottom, I'll just cut it out. And then if it's not, then I strike it through like that. And some of these pages have like this is crazy. 2, 3, 4 out of the 6 here are gone, thanks to my sample purge mostly. I'll leave it up there. But I know I'm gonna have to go through and redo some of these pages and really just consolidate some of these pages. And that might help with the bulk of this, but we shall see. And then another thing, so right now this is on Kikoyo business paper, which I really like, and I think it's a good like middle of the road paper, but I feel like I might want to change the paper type to either Tomoe River paper, since I use that a lot in my planners and journals, or View Corona, since that's similar to Tomoe River paper, because sometimes it just doesn't match what I'm seeing, especially in my ink journal, which is a totally different type of paper. So yeah, that is the issue here. I need to go through, and that I have decided is going to be a Void Week activity, is going through and sucking this thing in and consolidating the ink directory. I might also recut some of these dividers that are getting a little worn, because I use this quite a bit. Another solution would be to maybe bring this back into one binder. Next up, another rings system. This is a Giglio cover, and I keep business trackers in here, as well as a few Julia here. Apparently post ideas, which I really don't keep in here. I don't use the YouTube Mastermind notes section. I don't put my outlines in here, so I don't really use it for anything related to the channel other than tracking like income from Etsy, affiliate stuff, That's the only thing that I track in here that has to do with Julia here. So I probably don't need all the sections that I have in here. And then for our business, I track our sales tax or like state tax and our goals, and just keep track of some of the logos that we do, because at the end of the year, I like to do a logo folio and show all of the logos that we did throughout the year. So that's the only thing I really keep in here. I feel like this is a large ring binder for me to only use it for, not even use it for what's in here. So is this the solution? Put this into here, put this into one of these smaller, maybe the file of that's one of the smaller covers, possibly. I really do like this cover. There's so many pockets and so many things that I'm just not using. We talked about a little bit the inserts here. I have one for pen shows. I have one for life, which I don't have close to me. And then I have one for New Mexico trips. This one's about done. And I think once this is done, I don't know if I'm going to do a volume 2 or just consolidate all the New Mexico stuff into the life journal. I don't know, because I do kind of like having this as well. I really don't have any pain points with either of these setups. I really like having inserts for different things. The page count isn't high, so that makes the likelihood that I finish them and that they're full very high. And yeah, no complaints with the inserts. And I use the inserts in my main planner cover. This is a Moterm cover, and my main planner is the Chronicle notebook. So I really don't have any pain points here. I really enjoyed being able to pull things in and out as needed. I enjoyed all the pocket space, especially with all the traveling that went on this year. And I'll talk more in depth about this planner specifically, but really the only pain point is that this planner as is will not be available in 2026. There are some, I think, pretty major changes happening to the Chronicle notebook for 2026. And so I don't know if those layout changes necessarily align with how I plan and how much I really enjoyed this. So that is the pain point, that it doesn't exist as is for 2026. And then my ink journal. This one probably is what you see most on this channel these days, and I love my pen and ink journal. We had a rough start this year because it was in a totally different notebook, but turns out that the paper in that one was no bueno. It suffered from the Tomoy River 2025 debacle. So I moved into this Odyssey notebooks, just blank dot grid page numbers planner. And this, whoa, this paper is all crunchy. This has Cosmo Air Light paper, which I had been using a little bit for just fun swatches for Instagram posts and just having fun exploring ink, mostly swatches. However, the pain point with this journal as time went on and as I actually wrote on this paper for longer sessions like this, I realized that I don't love this paper. For one, it kind of blows out your nib size. So if you're writing with an extra fine, it looks more like a fine. If you're writing with a fine, it looks more like a medium. If you're writing with a medium, it looks more like a broad. And so I didn't like that because I want preciseness. If I'm writing with a medium nib, I want it to look like a medium nib. And for actual writing, it just feels weird, like pressing down on the paper. It's a little squishy, you get a little drag. I don't know, there's something about it that at this point drives me a little crazy. Even what I thought I initially loved this paper for were like, it was swatching, lots of swatching in here, and photographs so well and looks great, but a lot of the time the ink colors don't really match up as well as what they look like on Tomoy River paper, on View Corona, on even Midori paper. So I wasn't getting what I expected when I swatched on this paper, especially for trying to really closely match what colors I'm seeing on the pens, and then I go and swatch them and they don't match anymore as closely. Really annoying. So that is the major pain point with this journal. I'm writing it out until the end of the year, obviously. But the fix for this is to just use a different journal in 2026 with different paper. So hi, different day, Julia here. I was watching a video here on YouTube about commonplacing and then realized, oh my God, I did not talk about my commonplace journal in this video. So hi, here we are. That is the pain point, actually. It's so funny that that happened because that is the pain point with my commonplace. I love it so much. I want to love it so much. I want to use it, but it's just not figured out yet, I guess. The structure is here, but me using it, just not happening. This is a sterling ink, just blank grid notebook. I talked a little bit about the structure of this in my lineup video. So back here I have my index by letter and what page I can find the information on. And so I have quotes. Started off great. Some stuff about planner sizes, 3-point lighting, government systems. And then I used it a lot when I was learning to do my nails. Like I was getting a little certification and taking these classes with nails. And so I have all of that, little drawings, very fun. And I was referencing this for a little bit just as a reminder. Lots of notes on nails, anniversary, gifts by year. And then after that, it pretty much falls off. And I just have to get into the habit and remember that this exists because I know that I am interested and I have learned things that I want to keep in this. It's just that time, maybe priority. Maybe I need a system like my little brown plotter where I just like jot down things super quick and then transfer them here in a more understandable or organized way. I don't know. Or just thinking about the reading journal situation that maybe I don't want to have a full-on reading journal and the books that I want to look more into or want to dive into the symbolism, maybe that's where I store that information. I don't know. This is a pain point in general just because I know that it'll be beneficial. I know that I would enjoy making a commonplace, using a commonplace. It just hasn't happened quite right yet. So yeah, this was actually really helpful to just go through really quick, talk about what I don't like with my current lineup and those pain points so that I can note those and make better decisions for 2026's lineup. And yeah, I want to know what you guys think about your planners, your journals for 2025. What are some of your pain points that you have had that you need to consider for 2026? Leave them down in the comments. Thanks for hanging out for a little ramble sesh, and I will catch you all in the next one.